Hey guys, J77 here doing another audio topic, and this topic is a little bit of a very controversial issue. This was talked about for the last few months. I myself has talked about it for family members and for people from both sides of the coin, and now I'm gonna bring up my dislikes and share it with the community to see what they feel about this issue. This issue involves literature, and it also involves some recent development in Tennessee in terms of changing the curriculum in history books. Both of these have very similar connections, and I'll explain why. Let's first go with the literature part of this issue. Apparently, a lot of civil rights groups are making a very strong case, a very unnecessary strong case, if my own opinion may add, to ban certain books from being taught in the classroom. Now, these books, as follow. I'm going to give you some examples of Huck Finn, Uncle Tom's Tavern, Jump Ship to Freedom, The Average Family Struggle. Their argument is is too racist, and that it used the N-word too much, which in some cases I agree. The N-word is used a lot in these books. However, I have to say that the books that they're trying to ban aren't being racist just for the sake of being racist. They're being racist to tell a story of how things were during that time period. One of my favorite books happens to be a book that was very strong on that topic, Jump Ship to Freedom, which took place after the Revolutionary War, and it does have racial bigotry, slavery, and everything else. But did I get offended? No. Even the author came out and said there are some things that are offended, but it's necessary to tell you how it was during that time period. And I think all the books that they are, in my own opinion, are bitching about, do have a very legitimate case for being the way they are. I mean, these books were not meant to offend people. This is meant to educate people, and that's why these books were read in schools, and why there was a subject for good conversation in school to let people understand why things were the way they were and how we should learn from the mistakes of our past. But apparently, the civil rights activists, including some parents, do not agree on that. They're looking to ban these books from schools, as well as try to rewrite the literature altogether, and so it won't say the N-word, but it will say pretty much slavery, or some other word that was never used by the original author. I'm dead set against this for a lot of reasons, but I want to make it very clear why I'm dead set against this. One, you're messing with the author's original literature, which is not right. You're not even giving there is no way the person who wrote the book has a chance to defend itself. Two, these books, by rechanging the word, you're basically saying that this stuff never happened, and it did. And I don't think that as a person who am myself as a expired writer would ever appreciate anybody rewriting my word just because if they feel it offends people. If it offends people, I make it my business to know why this book is like that, and I also have stuff to back it up. Three, they seem to be only attacking the books that are being shown in school. That doesn't necessarily mean they're attacking any other form of literature, like urban novels, who use the N-word a lot. Even though they change the word frequently, it still is using the N-word a lot. They are only attacking books that has historical values to them, and they feel, but only because they feel it's too racial, it's too much involved with race, or they feel that it's going to offend a lot of their children. These books, in my opinion, and I'm sorry if I'm overstepping my words, but when I hear stuff like this, it tends to wild me up a little bit. It tends to anger me a little bit because I feel that they're unjustifiably attacking these books, which I feel are very great literature. These books are educational literature and should be used in the classroom as educational tools for a very strong conversation. Not just these books, but any books that deals with a subject matter like segregation, slavery, and race. We should have books like these in the classroom, but we also should have a strong, respectful conversation. Allow the children to do research on the matter, and do reports and come up with their own conclusion. Because I think believe that these books are strong educational tools if they're used properly. Taking these books out of the classroom or trying to sensitize these books is not the way to go. I am totally disagree with that. You're not only destroying a classic literature because you felt that it's offending you, but you're basically trying to rewrite something that is definitely not the accurate description of what really went down. These books, which by the way, when the authors wrote it, they wrote it to describe the horrors of slavery and segregation. That was the main purpose of these books. They wasn't there to put down the African Americans. They was there to show this is what they're going through, and this is why it's wrong. It's supposed to strike a nerve, but it's also supposed to strike conversation and bring awareness of what is really going on. This is why the movie Help was such a strong movie, because it was supposed to, that when the person wrote that book, it was supposed to bring awareness that this is how the servants were being treated. They wasn't even being treated like humans, and that was the big issue to shut out that whole thing because you guys don't want to use. You want your family to know the words, the N-word. First of all, if you don't want to use the N-word, none of my people should be using the word period, yet they still use it. So don't be biased about using the word. If you don't like the word, don't use the word period. But that's just my opinion. But I just felt, in my own view, they should not attack these books. Instead, use these books and educate your children at home and at school about the horrors of what happened, so that way we can learn and prosper to make sure that kind of stuff never happens again. Now, I know you guys are going to ask, what the hell does this have to do with Tennessee? It has plenty. About a few weeks ago, the Young Turks brought this to my attention. I actually did some research on it. A couple of radical Congress, and I call them radicals because that's what they are, wants to rewrite history. This is why I feel it important not to mess around with this kind of subject, especially what they're trying to do. They want to rewrite history to remove any form of slavery that was existed in the past. I'm talking about going way back to the revolutionary times, because they feel that it gives the founding fathers a bad name. When this report came out, I couldn't believe what they were saying. I just said, you got to be kidding me, right? There's no way they could possibly say that in their mouth. But apparently, after doing some research on this, it actually did. And the only thing I said is, wow, how hypocritical can you be? You want to really take the history books, rewrite it, so that way it makes, our founding fathers look like saints, like they did nothing wrong. That is totally unacceptable and totally wrong to do so, and I hope that people will strike this down as quickly as possible. Because one, you cannot hide the truth. Yes, our founding fathers had slaves. Yes, our founding fathers have laws to aim for surrogation. Yes, it was a terrible time when it came to slavery, surrogation, and our founding fathers, including the people who came behind it, have played a role for better or for worse. But it happened. It's part of our history. To try and rewrite history to make them look good is wrong. We take the good and the bad, and we learn from the good and the bad. That's how we prosper. That's how we better ourselves as well as the country. To try and change it, you're basically saying to yourself that we should be ashamed of what this is and we shouldn't know about this because it will make no. What happened in the past, it happens. We should learn from it and learn from our mistakes, which is something that we're not doing. We're hiding from the past. We're trying to cover it up by not speaking about it, by not bringing it to the forefront. And this is a big mistake, and I think that people in Tennessee need to wise up and say, hey, look, no, we can't do this. This is part of our history. We can't bottle up and hide it. We gotta, we gotta let them know what it is. Do I get mad at George Washington or Thomas Jefferson or all the other people that happened? No, I can't get mad at them. I wasn't around that time. I know what they did. I know their accomplishments as well as their failures. But you know what? I take a look at both of them. I take a look at what they have done, and I learn from their success and their failures. The same thing with any of the civil rights group. I learned a lot from Malcolm X, his success, his flaws, what he did to change himself, and I take that to heart. Same thing with Martin Luther King. The same thing with even Louis Farrakhan, for that matter. I'm not even a big Louis Farrakhan for that matter. But I take a look at all their achievements as well as their failures, and learn from their achievements and failures. To just say, oh, does this only put down this to their achievements and nothing more, you're fooling yourself, and you're trying to fool the country, and I think that's totally out of line. But that's what they're trying to push at, and it will be a dark day in this country if they actually get that passed. I really do. History should not be covered up. History should not be manipulated. It should be brought on the forefront. Let's bring everything else, our achievement as well as our dirty laundry, and just learn from it, respect it as it is, but also use it so that way we cannot do the same mistakes twice. That's my feeling on that issue. But you guys may feel differently about that, of course. You guys may feel that this is not a big deal, and that's fine. But I hope you guys give at least a respectable reason. Give a respectable reason. Give your reason why you feel it's not a big deal. And do comment on this issue for both sides, whether you agree with me or don't agree with me about the stuff I brought out. And you give your own interpretation, because I really like to hear what you guys feel about this, because my opinion is I don't want the book's literature to be altered, especially because you guys be offended. There's a lot of books out there, millions of books in this country that I don't read simply because it's too graphic or anything else. But you know what? I don't disrespect the authors. That's his work. What I don't like, others will like. As far as the books they are targeting, it's funny how they're only targeting these books, not talking any urban novels or other novels that use the Nword freely without merit. They just target these books because these books have been taught in classrooms. But I feel it's a necessary tool to teach in class, and it has a good reputation to introduce the ugliness of what happened in the past. That was slavery and segregation. I don't knock that. But obviously there's a lot of people out there who feels differently. If you do, one of those people, please let me know. But that's all I got to say on this topic, on this matter, because I don't want to go too far. Again, I do apologize for jumbling up my words a bit, but like I said, I was trying to keep calm a little bit because, like I said, as a person who's trying to be a writer as well, this does bother me, because the last thing I want to hear is they actually manipulated my words just because they felt what I said was offending people. I'm like this: if you don't like what I wrote, just don't read it. That's it. Nobody's forcing your hand, and I always felt that way. And I always have a principle of respecting other people's art form. What I don't like, somebody else will. That's just how it is. But again, as usual, leave your comments below. Let me know what your feelings on this. Until then, this is J77 saying, you guys take care. See you soon.